Welcome back here, guys. At the NFL Combine today, the wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks really were the center of attention. And to me in particular, a lot of interesting storylines developing here today with the wide receivers and running backs that did take part in the drills today at the Combine. And what I like seeing at the Combine is not only those guys you've never heard of rise up the draft boards, but also guys that are in the top 10, 15 prospects that would probably be there even if they didn't perform at the Combine, but they choose to perform. They have the guts to put it all out there with a lot to lose and not really a whole lot to gain. Those are the guys that I enjoyed watching today, and more in particular at the wide receiver spot. I think you saw Sammy Watkins and Mike Evans really put on a show and solidify themselves for me, as being clearly the top two receivers in this draft. You had Mike Evans come out at 6'5", 230. All right, run a 4.5 40 and a 39-inch vertical. I mean, just those stats alone, and then when you couple that with his production at Texas A&M, he could be a guy that teams perceive as being, uncoverable. All right, in the NFL, and I think he solidified his stock even more. I wouldn't be surprised after today to see Mike Evans definitely go in the top 12 in the draft. Just effortless at that 6'5" frame, catching the football today. And Sammy Watkins, I think, running an unofficial 4.3, and then his official time was, I think, a 4.42 today. And Watkins, to me, again, similar to Evans, just reaffirmed what we already thought about him. And the fact that, again, if Sammy Watkins lasts outside the first 5 picks of this draft, I'd be very surprised, because I look at him as being the best playmaker on the offensive side of the ball available. And you know that if you follow this channel, I'm very high on him. But those two guys, with not a whole lot to gain, all right, even solidified themselves as the top two receivers even more. And I think that's an aspect of the Combine that's not talked about a lot. And another guy I wanted to make note of, a guy who ran the fastest time of any receiver today, was Brandin Cooks from Oregon State, running a 4.33. If my top 5 most underrated prospects in the draft, Brandin Cooks was on that list. And he was on that list because I thought his speed was underrated. And I thought the fact that he was a Blitnikoff Award winner, was tremendously productive in college, was being sort of understated due to the fact that he is most likely, going to project, or he will project, to a slot receiver in the NFL. Well, a lot of teams start their slot receiver these days, and I expect Brandin Cooks, don't be surprised if he creeps into, the middle, later part of that first round for a team that's looking to add to an already made arsenal, a team that needs a slot receiver to sort of fortify things. And I really like what I saw from Cooks today, and you guys know he's a guy I root for, so keep an eye out for Brandin Cooks from Oregon State to rise up boards, given the production on the field in college, and teaming that now with, a 40-yard dash. That was a great performance today. From a running back standpoint, a lot of the talk today was surrounding Dre Archer and that 4.2640 that he did run, the second highest ever at the Combine, to, of course, then East Carolina running back Chris Johnson. And Archer, a little different than Johnson. Chris Johnson has been a productive running back here in the NFL, an every down back, if you will, where Archer is projected to be, although he was a running back at Kent State, he projects to be maybe more of a slot gadget type player with the ability to contribute on special teams in the return game. That's really where his value is going to be, in the NFL. He is a Kent State product, for those of you who may not have been familiar with what school he went to. A MAC product out of Kent State. Not a surprise he ran fast. But I think, for people to say, well, they saw this coming with him, that he'd run a 4.26, how do you ever expect someone to run the second fastest time ever? So good for Archer. He'll probably definitely get drafted in the middle rounds now, and a guy who could contribute, again, gadget plays and also on special teams. But don't look for him to be an every down back in the NFL. Some guys who may have been perceived hurt their stock today at the running back position. I'll start with Carlos Hyde. Look, Hyde runs a 4.640. He pulled up and seemed like he hurt his hamstring on his first 40-yard dash attempt. Now, with a guy like Hyde, he said he was going to run in the 4.4s, which he obviously didn't do. Obviously, the hamstring issue had something to do with that. He still has an opportunity, though, at his pro day to solidify his standing as the #1 running back in this class. We'll see if it plays out like that. But if he runs a 4.4 at his pro day, I expect him to be. Look, he's more in the Frank Gore, Marshawn Lynch mode of running back anyway. So I mean, you can see on tape how much faster he's gotten from 2012 to 2013. Again, as long as he comes out and has a better pro day, I don't look for this performance today to really impact him all that much. But again, now he puts some added pressure on himself, at the pro day, no doubt about that. And lastly, Jeremy Hill from LSU. A lot of people focused on the fact, again, that he ran a 4.6 40 as well. This is a guy who averaged 7 yards a carry in the SEC in somewhat limited action. For a guy his ability, somewhat limited action. A lot of that had to do with some attitude and off-the-field problems he had at LSU. I don't think you can really deny his presence on the field. And if he's able to clean that stuff up, I think he could be, a gem of this draft class. And he was in my top 5 running backs, or my top 10 running back list that I ran down here a couple weeks ago. But for me, the combine for Jeremy Hill was about those interview sessions. I think it's pretty clear the guy could play football. But in those interview sessions, was he able to convince these teams that wanted to meet with him? Was he able to convince them that these off-the-field issues were behind him? If he is, and if he's sincere, and teams, I would imagine at this point, with the amount of interviews they do with prospects, they can tell if a guy's sincere. And I hope he is, because he's a talented player. You never want to see talent wasted in any form of life, really. And especially for me, being a football fan, I don't like to see it on the football field. So here's hoping Jeremy Hill is right back on the right track and gets with the team that can really bring him along, because, again, he's just a really talented guy. And, guys, that wraps up the rumors here for today from the Combine. They'll be back at it tomorrow at the Combine. I'm sure I'll have some more rumors for you to sort of decipher and analyze. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Hit me up on Twitter as well. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, guys. It's absolutely free, and you get all my videos delivered directly to you. Thanks, as always, for listening. Have a great day.